Good evening, America. Welcome to N3 Prime Time. We are about to ignite your night with news that's sizzling hot. I'm Angie, and we've got a jam-packed lineup with Gary. First up, are we on the brink of impeaching President Joe Biden? Kevin McCarthy says it could happen, and we've got the inside scoop. Then Larry Kudlow takes us on a trip down memory lane, comparing Biden's economic policies to Reagan's. What's the verdict? You'll find out. And don't miss our take on Tucker Carlson's exclusive sit-down with former President Trump. What's Trump's take on Pence, electric cars, and January 6th? Stick around. Plus, can you believe it? Donald Trump overshadows the GOP debate without even being there. And finally, Fulton County makes a bold move, releasing Rudy Giuliani's mugshot and others. What does this mean for free speech in 2024? We're diving in. And hey, don't forget our popular comments section where we read your hottest takes, and our Looking at You segment where we spotlight someone making waves. Gary, take it away.
Good evening, America. Tonight we're bringing you stories that don't just matter, they define the very future of this great nation. First up, Kevin McCarthy weighing impeachment against President Biden. But it's not just a political chess game. It's a reflection of the growing tension in Washington over unanswered questions related to Hunter Biden. Trust in leadership isn't just waning, it's sinking like a stone in water. And then we have Larry Kudlow weighing in on our spiraling economy, drawing contrast to, well, the Reagan era. Yes, Reaganomics, when prosperity was as America as apple pie. And now we're navigating through a labyrinth of inflation and unfettered government spending, echoing the maze we're all lost in. And we also take a look at Tucker's sit-down with former President Trump. They touch on everything from media bias to the divide within his own party. It's a tell-all that America needs to hear to understand the state of our republic. Speaking of value, here's something you should know, that since the 70s, U.S. dollar has plunged in value by a jaw-dropping 85%. Elections are on the horizon. You better believe that that printing press will be running overtime, inflating our troubles away. But there is a lifeboat in this sinking ship. Gold, Noble Gold Investments, is your way to anchor your wealth safely. Invest with them and secure a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin. I've got one right here. They sent me one. It's absolutely beautiful. You can have one of these by visiting noblegoldinvestments.com or call 877-646-5347. And if you're not investing, just call and say thank you for sponsoring this program. The ship may be sinking, but that doesn't mean that you have to go down with it. And lastly, the legal quagmire that's ensnaring Rudy Giuliani and President Trump. Free speech or legal accountability as we near 2024. America's values are on trial, my friends. So, Angie, tell us what else you are diving into on tonight's episode.
First, there's a concerning dip in the U.S. job market. A whopping 306,000 jobs vanished. What's happening? We're cutting through the numbers and asking, is this the current administration asleep at the wheel? Then broad daylight robberies in Chicago's prime shopping district. Businesses are fleeing and we're demanding answers. Plus, as President Biden promises the moon with Bidenomics, many of us are left pinching pennies at the pump and the grocery store. And hey, music lovers, country sensation Oliver Anthony is shaking up the industry in a big way, and he's doing it solo. Wonder why? Finally, if you think Democrat-run cities are flourishing, think again. We've got hard-hitting truths about crime rates that'll make you reconsider. These are the stories that matter tonight. Coming up next, a seismic shift could be on the horizon in Washington. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy has openly discussed the possibility of impeaching President Joe Biden. What does this pledge mean for Biden's administration and for America? Gary has all the details in a special report you don't want to miss. Over to you, Gary.
Today in the hallowed halls of Washington, a storm brews, one that might forever change the trajectory of the Biden presidency. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy isn't mincing words anymore. He's setting the stage for a potential seismic shift. Incumbent President Joe Biden has found himself squarely in the crosshairs of the GOP. And the threat isn't from the usual corners. It's from the very top echelons of the Republican Party. A series of bombshell revelations growing louder and more insistent threaten to cast a shadow on Biden's legacy and the 2024 re-election bid. Stay with us for this entire special report tonight, because by the end you will not want to miss the final thought that ties it all together. Incumbent President Joe Biden's term has been riddled with controversies, from a dwindling economy, ballooning inflation, to gas prices soaring through the roof. the president is facing a growing dissatisfaction among many Americans. But the story doesn't end with just economic issues. The president might have a bigger challenge on the horizon, a looming impeachment inquiry led by none other than Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy. In a recent conversation with Fox Business' Larry Kudlow, McCarthy made his position abundantly clear. When asked about launching an impeachment inquiry against President Biden, he said, "Provide me the documents we're asking for." It seems the whole determination hinges on the Biden's response. If they provide the necessary documents, the impeachment cloud might just dissipate. But if they remain evasive, McCarthy asserts the impeachment inquiry will commence as soon as Congress reconvenes in September. Watch.
Potential impeachment inquiry. As you know, the whole deal in Wilmington, Delaware has fallen apart. Now we have a special prosecutor, this David Weiss, who many people think is part of the problem, certainly not the solution. If you could just give us your thinking on an impeachment inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
Well, thank you, Larry. And to all your viewers, remember, the only reason you know of all this information is because we took the majority and we're holding the administration accountable. It is appalling of what we have learned. It is different than what President Biden had told us. He told us he had never talked to his son about any business dealings, that he's never been involved in his family's business, that they never received any money from China. We now learn while he was vice president, the family created 20 shell companies. They did receive more than $1 million from China, and he did call into the business meetings, and he did go to dinners. These dinners were very profitable. They got a new Porsche, they got $3.5 million. But the really most compelling thing here is there's somebody lying. We wanted to have a special prosecutor back in February, but we were told by Garland that there was no need for one. David Weiss told us he could do it if he wanted. But what he has told us privately with the IRS agents and what he told publicly, along with the Attorney General Garland, somebody is lying in this process. And the only thing I realize here is the only stories that have not changed are the whistleblowers from the IRS. Their story has held up time and again, and it really looks like there's two justice systems here. If the Biden administration continues to fight to withhold information that could really clear all this up, did they take bribes? Did they deal in the business? If they hold that up, we would have to move to an impeachment inquiry, which you know, Larry, gives the apex of power to Congress when it comes to our subpoena power and others to get the documents we need, the bank statements, the credit card statements and others. Show us where the money went. Show us were you taking money from outside sources, and that would clear most of this up, but they seem to fight it every step of the way.
The core issue here, documents that purportedly shine light on illegal business dealings involving Biden's son Hunter, which allegedly benefited the president himself. With Congress off during August, any move towards impeachment wouldn't happen until at least September 5th. Now, as I reflect on the rising tide of demands and allegations, I'm reminded of another transformative journey. Yes, I embarked on a journey of weight loss, shedding an incredible 80 pounds with the Fat Loss for Life body transformation guide at my side. The journey to uncover the truth about our political leaders feels much like the journey to reclaim one's health, arduous, filled with hurdles, but ultimately necessary for the greater good. Guided by personal trainer and nutrition coach Gary Mascione, I found a path to success. Just as America now looks to its leaders for clarity and transparency, I sought expertise and guidance. To embark on your own transformation, head over to Gary'sTraining.com, and don't forget the code NNN will grant you a 10% discount. Now, coming back to the political scene, Speaker McCarthy isn't the only one turning up the heat. Earlier this month, Republican Representative Greg Steube of Florida took an unprecedented step, eschewing protocol to file 4 articles of impeachment against Biden. If that wasn't a clear enough signal, another Republican lawmaker recently declared that the GOP majority House is at work piecing together what he described as an airtight case against President Joe Biden. These allegations range from Biden accepting bribes during his vice presidency tenure to engaging in various questionable business activities. Representative Greg Murphy, speaking to the press, emphasized the difference in approach between the GOP and their counterparts. He criticized the past impeachment moves against then-President Donald Trump as being driven by emotion, particularly calling out then-Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Murphy and his colleagues, in contrast, want to build an evidence-driven, airtight case, ensuring that the American people are presented with concrete evidence like email records, telephone records that might show how Biden allegedly sold his office for money and political gain. Watch.
Well, what we're doing is building a case, John, because, I'm sorry, Bob, it's because, Pelosi brought impeachment to the floor just as an emotional thing. The woman doesn't know anything except politics. And impeachment is not something that we should do easily just because we don't like a president. You have to build an airtight case. And I know many Republicans are upset we haven't done it so far. I don't do things, and our caucus does not do things just for show. We want to bring an airtight case to the American people and show them with email records, with telephone records, absolutely how the president essentially sold his office as vice president for money and for political gain. We want these details. We want the facts out there. And so this is what an impeachment inquiry, which I believe will start fairly soon, will be done rather than just jumping at the floor and going to impeachment. And those individuals that say there's no evidence there, my God, there was absolutely no evidence with the nonsense that Adam Schiff brought forth against President Trump. There's absolute evidence, and we see these in emails, texts, conversations, depositions. Yes, we want to bring absolute fact forward for the American people and let them be the judge.
While Murphy assures that an impeachment inquiry will take place fairly soon, he has also highlighted his belief that it's not just the president's son who will be under scrutiny, but eventually the president himself. But what is this evidence? What has the GOP uncovered? Well, earlier this month, New York Representative Elise Stefanik, head of the House Republican Conference, presented what she described as a damning photo. You can see it here. This image shows Biden as vice president aboard Air Force Two with his advisor linked to Hunter Biden, Amos Hochstein. These connections have raised eyebrows, especially given Hochstein's alleged communication with Hunter and his associates at the Ukrainian energy company Burisma Holdings. The photograph, capturing a moment during Biden's journey to meet Ukrainian leaders, holds significance. This meeting was where Biden reportedly warned that $1 billion in U.S. aid would be withheld if Ukraine didn't dismiss their chief prosecutor, Viktor Shokin. Stefanik's statement to Fox News Digital was clear that this evidence suggests Joe Biden was more involved in his family's dealings than previously thought. Ms. Stefanik assures the House Republicans are committed to uncovering every detail of this unfolding saga. As we wrap up tonight's special report, the American people are left with pressing questions and a thirst for clarity. At the heart of our republic is trust in our elected officials to uphold the integrity and values of this great nation. If these allegations against President Biden hold weight, they pose significant concerns not just about his past, but the future of the presidency. As we look ahead to 2024, these revelations, or lack thereof, will undoubtedly shape the political landscape. So whether you stand left or right, one thing remains true. The integrity of the Oval Office should remain uncompromised. Tonight, as we mull over the weight of these potential truths, we must remember our collective commitment to transparency, justice, and the American way. The journey for the truth has just begun, and America waits its outcome with bated breath. Angie, it seems some disappointing news is on the economic front. The latest numbers are in, and it's a miss. U.S. economic performance falling short of economists' projections, triggering concerns about the pace of recovery. Investors taking note. What does this mean, Ange?
The U.S. job market just took a serious hit. Newly revised figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show a massive drop, with 306,000 fewer jobs added than previously thought from March 2022 to 2023. That's a shortage of 25,500 jobs a month. Key industries like transportation, warehousing, and business services took the biggest hits. To add salt to the wound, recent July numbers reveal we added just 187,000 jobs, falling short of the predicted 200,000. And it doesn't stop there. May and June saw a downward revision by 49,000 jobs. Despite a glimmer of economic growth in 2023's second quarter, it's clear the current administration's policies aren't making the cut. America deserves better. Dig deeper. Get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Up next, a special report that delves into the origins of a phrase that's become synonymous with modern American politics: Make America Great Again. What's the real story behind this iconic slogan, and why has it resonated so deeply with voters? Over to you, Gary.
And now a special report that will resonate with anyone keeping an eye on our nation's economic trajectory. Larry Kudlow, a trusted voice in the financial world, is shaking things up with a perspective that every American should consider. Have you found yourself questioning the effects of Bidenomics, or perhaps reminiscing about the prosperity of the Reagan era? Well, Kudlow has done the deep dive for you, drawing stark contrast between two vastly different economic visions. And here's a teaser. If you've ever cheered or even mused about the phrase "Make America Great Again," you're in for a surprising revelation about its origins. With Kudlow's insights, we're about to embark on a journey through time from the heydays of Reaganomics to today's challenging economic landscape. And don't go anywhere, especially because after this deep dive, I've got a final thought that every concerned American needs to hear. Now, Larry Kudlow, a trusted and respected voice in the world of finance, recently took to the airwaves to illuminate the public on the stark contrast between the economic vision of the past and the direction we're heading today. Kudlow, having observed the dynamics of various administrations and their respective economic approaches, is poised to share an analysis that could be a game changer for many Americans grappling with understanding Bidenomics and its implications for our future. But don't just take my word for it. Watch and listen to Kudlow as he delves into the heart of the matter. Watch.
In his wonderful piece today, Ken argues he will shamelessly plagiarize Ronald Reagan, and I'm about to shamelessly plagiarize both Kachighian and the Gipper. Start with this. The 1984 Dallas Republican Convention on supply-side tax cuts from the Gipper. Take a listen.
Our tax policies are and will remain pro-work, pro-growth, and pro-family. And most important, to bring the tax rates of every American further down, not up.
It just doesn't get any better than that. You know what? Now, wait a second. That was good. Pretty good. But this next one is off the charts awesome. Take a listen.
If we bring them down far enough, growth will continue strong. The underground economy will shrink. The world will beat a path to our door. And no one will be able to hold America back. And the future will be ours.
There you go, folks. There you go, debaters. Prosperity, period. Positive, period. Growth, period. No one will be able to hold America back, period. The future will be ours, period. Can't beat that. And Ken Kachighian also quotes President Reagan at the August 1988 Republican Convention when the Gipper says, and I'm going to quote, "We left with a mutual pledge to conduct a national crusade to make America great again, period." End quote. Folks, ever heard that line before? Make America great again? Well, it's Reagan vintage 1988. Think of it. Now, anybody looking for more debate tips? Okay. How about the failure of Bidenomics? High inflation, stagnant growth, zero affordability, central planning, big government spending. Want some more? How about drill, baby, drill, slash costs and promote growth? Return to an all-the-above energy policy. How about make the Trump tax cuts permanent? How about zero out Biden's zillion new regulations? How about ending Bidenomics? Means burying obsessive left-wing climate change, which is driving Americans crazy by taking away their appliances, their cars, and their freedom of choice. In other words, how about attack Biden tonight, not Trump? Go after the Biden scandals, defend freedom of speech, argue against a two-tier justice system, which is now aimed at Trump and Republicans, but I'll tell you, it's coming to a theater near you for ordinary American folks. How about close the border? How about using the military to stop the cartels? How about pro-parent and pro-school choice? Wait a minute. Once more, with feeling, I have to do this, very important. Quote, "The world will beat a path to our door, and no one will be able to hold America back, and the future will be ours, and make America great again." How about all of that?
That was beautiful. Returning from that powerful segment, it's evident how passionately Kudlow views the turning tides of our economic trajectory. By initiating the discussion with a reference to the Wall Street Journal op-ed by Ken Kachugan, a distinguished Reagan-era speechwriter, he sets the tone, nudging us to reminisce about the magic of Reagan's supply-side tax cuts, a hallmark of the 80s economic resurgence. Reagan's fervent emphasis on tax policies was clear. They were designed to be pro-work, pro-growth, and pro-family. As articulated in the archival footage, if we bring them down far enough, growth will continue. The world will beat down a path to our door. Such succinct yet profound words underscore the vision of America as an economic powerhouse, a nation that not only thrives internally but stands as a global magnet for trade, talent, and innovation. In stark contrast to today's economic climate under Bidenomics has been riddled with challenges, with rising inflation rates, stagnant growth, and escalating affordability concerns. We see a departure from the once celebrated tenets of Reaganomics. These departures are further exacerbated by the tendency towards centralized planning and escalated government spending, signaling a departure from the hands-off, laissez-faire approach of the past. Now, this brings us to the pressing concern, one that Kudlow didn't explicitly touch on, but remains deeply interconnected with our current economic standing. Now, since the 1970s, the U.S. dollar has experienced a significant decline, shedding a staggering 85% of its value since breaking away from the gold standard. This decline is not an isolated historical event. It's a potential harbinger of what lies ahead. As the Biden administration gears up to print unrestrained quantities of money in the lead up to the next elections, we're faced with the looming specter of unchecked inflation. Drawing parallels from our financial history, consider this. Our economy without the gold standard is akin to a ship adrift without an anchor. Facing the choppy waters of international finance and economic upheavals, there remains one stable asset, gold. Historically resilient to inflation, gold offers a sanctuary in uncertain times. And with Noble Gold Investments, not only can you shield your wealth, but for a limited period, they're gifting this 24-karat quarter-ounce gold standard coin. This is not merely an investment, it's a safeguard. So dial 877-646-5347 or head to noblegoldinvestments.com. Now, pivoting back to Kudlow's insights, his critique of Biden multifaceted regulations was especially poignant. He paints a picture of an administration leaning too heavily towards an agenda, particularly that of climate change, at the potential expense of the freedoms and choices Americans have long cherished. Now, his concerns don't stop there. He emphasizes our freedom of speech, the bedrock of our republic, underscores growing anxieties about an emergence of a two-tier justice system, and perceiving biases against Trump and Republicans suggests that the impartiality of our justice system might be at risk. This isn't merely a political battle. If unchecked, everyday Americans might soon feel the repercussions of these divisive dynamics. Further issues highlighted by Kudlow span from border security to the unchecked might of the drug cartels to the essence of pro-parent, pro-school choice, all integral to the fabric of America's future. His call to arms, urging a return to Reagan's principles, is a clarion call for re-election. But perhaps most illuminating was Kudlow's revelation about the phrase, "Make America Great Again." While many attribute it to Trump, its roots can be traced back to Reagan, who in 1988 vocalized a national vision to revitalize America. This sentiment, echoing through time, serves as a timeless reminder of our nation's enduring spirit. And Kudlow's concluding thoughts serve as a wake-up call to recall and perhaps reclaim the economic philosophies that historically position America on a path to prosperity. In juxtaposing the luminous days of Reaganomics with today's Bidenomics, he challenges us to discerningly evaluate our nation's economic direction. Will we continue to meander away from our time-tested ideals or rally together to reposition our great nation on its rightful, prosperous trajectory? The ball, as they say, is in our court. So now America stands at a pivotal juncture in its economic journey. As we delve deep into Kudlow's insights tonight, it's abundantly clear that understanding our past is vital to navigating our future. The lessons from the Reagan era aren't just historical footnotes. They're signposts pointing towards proven pathways of prosperity. Now more than ever, it's essential for every American to critically assess the directions we're being led in. We've seen the potential risks of Bidenomics, and we've been reminded of the prosperity-driven visions of Reaganomics. The decisions we face, monumental. Do we embrace tested ideals that have previously set our nation on paths of growth, or do we tread into the uncertain waters of new age economic policies? It's not just about numbers or policies. It's about the kind of America we want to leave for our children. Let's remember, and more importantly, act on the lessons from the past. They hold the keys to our future. Disturbing developments in Chicago's iconic Magnificent Mile. Reports of increased lawlessness, including theft and vandalism, are raising alarm bells for residents and businesses alike. Angie has more.
What's going on in Chicago? The Magnificent Mile, the city's prime shopping district, is now a playground for criminals. Just this Sunday, mass thieves terrorized Prada shoppers in broad daylight, stealing thousands in merchandise. They're driving business away, folks, with a shocking 28% vacancy rate on the once vibrant strip. Now let's talk numbers. 614 adult theft cases reviewed, but only a 70% conviction rate. For juvenile cases, it's even worse, a measly 14% adjudication rate. Where's the law and order in Democrat-run Chicago? It's clear this lack of action is turning the Windy City's crown jewel into a possible ghost town. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Coming up, an in-depth look at the recent interview between Tucker Carlson and former President Donald Trump, a conversation that sent ripples through the political landscape. What were the key takeaways and why are they resonating so powerfully with Americans on both sides of the aisle? Gary will break it all down in an unmissable analysis of this earth-shaking interview. Over to you, Gary.
And now a narrative unlike any other. In an exclusive deep-diving conversation, former President Donald Trump unravels the threads of events, decisions, and relationships that have been the talking points of our nation for months. From the boldness behind his decision to sidestep the debates, to unveiling the complex layers of his relationship with Mike Pence, to the raw emotions of the January 6th rally. This is the unfiltered analysis that you've been waiting for. And if that isn't enough to keep you glued to your screens, our final thought segment isn't just a conclusion, it's a revelation, a perspective that every American, irrespective of party lines, needs to hear and reflect upon. So stay with us, for in this special report, every word matters, and trust us, you don't want to miss what comes at the end. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Tucker Carlson's conversation with former President Donald Trump was not just an interview. It was a journey through the political maze that's been the heartbeat of our nation. And I'm about to walk you through the revelations and insights that were laid bare in their riveting discussion. When Tucker Carlson kickstarted the dialogue, there wasn't a moment wasted before delving into the core of political discourse. Trump, with his signature confidence, highlighted his significant lead in the polls, with margins that are not just notable but staggering, hovering between 50 and 60 points. One can't help but wonder, why would he even consider attending a debate? Trump's sentiment echoed with what many conservatives have felt for a while. Mainstream debates often seem more like orchestrated attacks than platforms for genuine discourse. It's evident Trump feels certain networks have not given him a fair shake. The sentiment, while not new, underscores his belief that the media landscape is tainted with bias. But as we've seen before, Trump doesn't shy away from calling out what he perceives as inconsistencies in the political arena. He seldom refers to a candidate he tags Ada Hutchinson, leaving us all to wonder about his qualifications and capabilities. Watch.
When you say there are people on stage who shouldn't be running for president, who do you mean?
Well, I don't want to really use names, but it wouldn't matter too much. A guy like, I call him Ada Hutchinson. It's Asa, but I call him Ada.
Why do you call him Ada?
I could tell you, but I don't want to get myself in a little trouble. But he's weak and pathetic, and he was, I never understood the guy, never knew him. He was the governor of Arkansas, not a very popular guy. I don't know how but that state is such a great state. The people are so incredible in that state, and they love me and I love them. How does this guy get elected governor of Arkansas? But he's nasty always, and has been.
And then there's the issue with Chris Christie. The former president's words paint a picture of Christie as an opponent first and a representative of the people second. Watch.
A guy like Chris Christie, the guy left with a 8%, think of it, 8% approval rating in New Jersey. Now he's running for president. And he runs solely on the basis, oh, let's get Trump. He's like a savage maniac. He's like a lunatic. And that's all he talks about. His poll numbers are very, very low. He's about 2%.
What's he like? You know him well.
No, I've been friendly with him over the years, but I couldn't give him a job because I just never trusted him very much. I was just never one of his people that really trusted him. I never gave him the job. And that's one of the reasons he feels so hurt and so betrayed. And I understand that. I really do. I understand it. But I never gave him, he wanted to be different things. He was looking at different elements of the administration. And I decided I didn't want to do it.
As our nation finds itself at political crossroads, many Americans are similarly navigating personal crossroads of their health. Much like the 74% of adults battling with weight, like Chris Christie, our political landscape is also weighed down by intricate challenges. In the same vein that we seek clarity in the political realm, it's essential to have a robust ally in our health journey. Harness the power of CLA, a nature-derived ingredient, primed to aid your body's fat-burning process. Discover this change at trimwithgary.com. After all, in the pursuit of a better America, shouldn't we also prioritize a better self? In diving deeper into Trump's revelations, the Pence issue emerges, casting a long shadow over the Trump administration's legacy. Tucker's probing questions about Trump's relationship with his former vice president provide a window into the intricate dynamics of their partnership. Pence, Trump reveals, harbors presidential aspirations, but it's Trump's conviction about Pence's role or lack thereof during the election certification that truly captivates. He firmly believes Pence had the right, even the responsibility, to send votes back to the legislature if discrepancies or fraud were detected. Watch this.
Pence. You've always been nice to Pence. I've never heard you criticize Pence. You've defended him in public many, many times. He's out there attacking you. What is that?
So Mike wants to run for president. You got to understand, in my opinion, Mike Pence had the absolute right to send the votes back to the legislatures. The Democrats and everybody said, you don't have the right. In other words, what I said, is he a human conveyor belt? You mean if he finds fraud in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in any of these states, Arizona, he has to send them to Mitch McConnell, right? That's right, sir. Well, if he finds fraud, he has to? Yes, sir. I said, so he's a conveyor belt. Boom, put him in. I said, I don't agree with that. And we had some lawyers, not all, we had some lawyers that said, no, you do have the right to send them back to the legislatures to be rechecked. Because if you looked at what went on in Wisconsin, who, by the way, now agree with me, Wisconsin has been virtually, other than the fact they're not allowed to do anything statutorily, but Wisconsin has been, I mean, what they found is incredible. I mean, we won Wisconsin. But Mike Pence had the right, in my opinion, to send them back.
Do you ever talk to him now?
No, I haven't spoken to him in a long time. I was very disappointed in him. I didn't want to do what Thomas Jefferson did. Thomas Jefferson, it was Georgia. And it was, hear ye, hear ye, the great state of Georgia is not capable or allowed to tabulate their votes. And Thomas Jefferson, who was the vice president, said, is Georgia sure that they cannot tabulate their votes? Georgia is sure. He didn't send them back and have them redo it. He said, we will keep the votes of the great state of Georgia for Thomas Jefferson and his president. I didn't ask him for that. Could have done that too, but I didn't. I thought that would be turmoil. I asked him to send him back to his legislature, to the legislatures, you know, in Wisconsin, let's say.
But why didn't he? I mean, you'd worked together for 4 years. You're the president. He's VP. You say you're aligned on everything.
I think he got very bad advice. I really do. Now, let me tell you what happened. I sat there with a few people. I think his lawyer was in the room too. His lawyer was very much against it. There were other lawyers that felt you could do it. It was one of those things. I think you could have done it. I think you can always do something if you see fraud or if you see problems. But it's very interesting. So after the election was over, the rhinos got together with the Democrats and they redid the election, so you couldn't do it anymore. So then I called the people. I said, so in other words, you're saying I was right. You could do it. Yes, you could do it. In other words, they took the Voting Act and they redid it so the vice president no longer has the power to do what I said he could do. So when that happened, I said, wow. And you know, you'd look some of these Democrats in the eye and they'd say, he has absolutely no right to do it. And immediately after the election, they met rhinos, could name them all, and Democrats, and they approved legislation that takes away the right of the vice president to do it. So I said, so you're saying I was right. The vice president did have the right to do it, and they said, yes, he did.
So if you're saying they stole it from you last time, why wouldn't they do the same this time?
Oh, well, they'll try. They're going to be trying, yeah. And not only me, you know.
The depth of Trump's disappointment in Pence becomes all the more palpable as he reminisces about the decision that shaped their tenure. The relationship, it seems, has been irrevocably altered, with Trump feeling a profound sense of letdown. Tucker, ever the astute interviewer, pushes deeper, questioning the logistics and rationale behind the past election, the possibility of future manipulations. And Trump's response, well, they might attempt it, but he's ever vigilant. And Trump took it a bit further, saying that Democrats have to cheat in elections, as no American in their right mind wants some of their policies, such as open borders and rapid inflation. Here's more.
If you buy groceries, if you buy practically anything now, you have ID on a card, credit cards or otherwise.
But don't you think it's racist to have to show your ID?
Well, they probably say that. They use anything not to show ID because voter ID is pretty simple. And we could go back, and we should go back to all paper ballots, voter ID, same-day voting. You know, France did it. France had mail-in ballots, and it was terrible. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you're going to have massive cheating on your elections. Anytime, but not just the presidential election. Anytime you have...
Isn't that the whole point of them? So
yeah.
You can
Oh,
cheat?
yeah, sure. It's their whole point. That's their whole point. They want to cheat, yeah. They have to cheat because their policies are so bad that if they didn't cheat, they couldn't get elected. Who wants open borders? Who wants high taxes? Who wants high interest rates?
Not me. The conversation then shifts gears, moving from the political arena to pressing national concerns. Trump articulates his revelations about the aggressive push for electric cars. In his perspective, an over-reliance on electric vehicles, especially in states like California plagued with grid issues, could spell disaster. This isn't just about transportation. It's about ensuring citizens have choices and are not pigeonholed into decisions that might not be in their best interest. Watch.
The happiest moment for somebody in an electric car is the first 10 minutes. In other words, you get it charged, and now for 10 minutes. The unhappiest part is the next hour, because you're petrified that you're not going to be found another charger. People, I'm saying, I'm not knocking electric cars, they're fine. They're fine. But if people want to buy a gasoline car or a hybrids are pretty good, actually.
Trump's tenure was marked by several decisions aimed at reducing bureaucratic red tape. He recalls his time dealing with the EPA, expressing frustration at water regulations he viewed as overly restrictive. To many Americans, his anecdotes about faucets and showers with reduced water flow might sound trivial, but they symbolize a larger issue, overregulation that impacts daily lives. The border issue then takes center stage. Trump's passion for border security is unmistakable. He proudly recalls the construction of the border wall, emphasizing its role in safeguarding the nation. For Trump, this isn't just about security. It's a matter of national pride and sovereignty. He firmly believes in legal immigration, and any suggestion otherwise is a disservice to the countless individuals who have followed the rules to call America home. Watch.
You're elected president again. What's your number one priority? When you ran last time, you said, I will build a wall. This time, your bottom line top promise to the country.
So you can do numerous things at the same time.
Of course.
But let's say number one is a border and taking hundreds of thousands of criminals that have been allowed into our country and getting them out and bringing them back to their country, Guatemala. By the way, not only the 4 countries that we think of as neighbors, all over the world. Last month, we had 149 countries represented. Think of it. We had 149 countries represented, Tucker, from places that many people never even heard of, coming into our country. And they're coming in from mental institutions, and they're coming in from prisons. They're emptying out their prisons all over South America. They're emptying out their mental institutions. Terrorists are pouring into our country. We have no idea. I had the strongest border in the history of our country, and I built almost 500 miles of wall. You know, they like to say, oh, was it less? No. I built 500 miles. In fact, if you check with the authorities on the border, we built almost 500 miles of wall. And I had another 200 that I was going to build. You know, it's like water, it seeks. And we're going to build another 200. We built it. It was all set to go. All they had to do was install it. It would have taken 3 weeks. And that's when I found out. I said, I think these people actually want open borders. the first thing I would do would be I would seal up the border good and tight, except for people that want to come in legally.
Do you think we're moving towards civil war?
The January 6th rally, a day that will forever be etched in the annals of American history, is discussed with raw emotion. Trump believes the rally drew a crowd like no other, brimming with passion, love, unity, and yes, palpable anger. The majority, he asserts, had peaceful intentions. Their emotions, a mix of love for the country and frustration at its direction, were evident. These sentiments, according to Trump, are shared by many across the nation. Watch.
There's tremendous passion and there's tremendous love. January 6th was a very interesting day because they don't report it properly. I believe it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken before. And you know some of the crowds I've spoken before. And like July 4th on the mall, I think they had 1 million people there. But I think that the biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was on January 6th. And people that were in that crowd, a very, very small group of people, and we said patriotically and peacefully and patriotically, right? Nobody ever says that. Go peacefully and patriotically. But people that were in that crowd that day, very small group of people went down there, and then there are a lot of scenarios that we can talk about. But people in that crowd said it was the most beautiful day they've ever experienced. There was love in that crowd. There was love and unity. I have never seen such spirit and such passion and such love. And I've also never seen simultaneously and from the same people such hatred of what they've done to our country.
So do you think it's possible that there's open conflict? We seem to be moving towards something.
I don't know because I don't know what it, I can say this. There's a level of passion that I've never seen. There's a level of hatred that I've never seen, and that's probably a bad combination.
Donald Trump, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
It's clear that Trump's conversation with Tucker Carlson wasn't just an interview. It was an exposition, a chance to lay out his perspectives unfiltered and unrestrained. Every revelation, every sentiment shared offers a unique window into the mind of one of the most influential figures in modern American history. So, ladies and gentlemen, as this report draws to a close, the weight of their conversation demands reflection. We've journeyed through the intricate tapestry of former President Donald Trump's perspectives, emotions, and decisions as laid out in his conversation with Tucker. The insights offered aren't just a glimpse into one man's mind, but serve as a mirror reflecting the sentiments of countless Americans who resonated with his leadership. This story, this narrative, is pivotal not for its political leanings, but for its embodiment of the democratic process. Whether or not you align with Trump's views, it's undeniable that understanding them paves the way for dialogue, growth, and unity. As we ponder on the revelations of tonight, let's remind ourselves of the values that bind us: the pursuit of truth, the thirst for clarity, and the shared dream of a prosperous America. As dawn approaches, we may be ever vigilant, ever hopeful. Good night, America. Now we're seeing dramatic shifts attributed to Biden's administration's policies. Whether it's the economy, immigration, or healthcare, there's a massive spike in various sectors, sparking intense debates. And now here is Angie with more on that.
As President Biden touts the benefits of Bidenomics, Americans are feeling the squeeze. Prices on essentials like food, energy, and gas are through the roof. Here's the cold hard fact. An average American is now shelling out an extra $709 each month for basics, compared to just 2 years ago. And while Team Biden wants to spotlight lower inflation rates, they're using core inflation figures, conveniently overlooking everyday costs like food and gas. As gas prices hover around $5 a gallon and home costs jump by 8%, it's clear Bidenomics ain't working for the hardworking middle class. It's high time for real solutions, not just empty words. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Next on the agenda, an unusual but captivating twist in Republican politics. While GOP candidates were debating in Milwaukee, Donald Trump managed to steal the spotlight without even stepping on stage. Tell us more, Gary.
In an astonishing turn of events, Donald Trump managed to overshadow the entire GOP debate without even being physically present. How, you ask? Well, the former president's decision to skip the debate became the talk of the town, making everyone wonder about his strategies and influence. With the GOP candidates taking the stage to discuss the future of the Republican Party, Trump's absence became the elephant in the room. As we dive deep into the evening's occurrences, join us for an in-depth analysis of how Trump stole the limelight without uttering a word on the debate stage. And believe us, by the end of this report, you'll realize why every American should be paying attention. So keep watching, because our final thought on this political spectacle is something you don't want to miss. Now, the stage was set. The nation's eyes were fixed on Milwaukee, and the first Republican debate promised to be a spectacle of political prowess and vision. Yet, as the event unfolded, it was unmistakably clear that the evening would be less about the party's future and more about the enduring legacy of one man, Donald J. Trump. Choosing to bypass the debate might have been perceived as a gamble for many, but for Trump, it was a calculated power move. Instead of sharing the stage with his political rivals, Trump joined Tucker Carlson on X, previously known as Twitter. In this environment, far from the chaos of the debate stage, Trump dominated the discourse on his preferred platform. Watch.
It's debate night, but we're not in Milwaukee.
Every tweet, every shared sentiment on X became a testament to Trump's strategic genius. While GOP contenders grapple with his legacy, Trump engaged the nation from a comfortable distance, making sure his voice overshadowed the cacophony on the debate stage. Now, over in Milwaukee, it's worth noting that Fox News ordered security to block Trump's son, Don Jr., and Kimberly Guilfoyle from the post-debate spin room when they attempted to enter after the debate. Watch.
Right now, trying to ban people from actually having discourse about politics.
How un-American.
Probably shouldn't surprise any of us, but that's what it is. And I've been told by others that I would be able to go in. So they said we were able to go in, then they said they weren't. Now that we're here, and the candidate that
said you can't go in the spin room.
They're telling me right now, Fox won't let me into the spin room.
That's what the American people should know. This is the kind of
They're telling him, he works for security here, but they're telling him that I'm not allowed to go in there. Because the candidates that they've been boosting while simultaneously trying to cut down Trump for the last, 2 years, didn't perform as they had hoped. So they can't have someone who can maybe be a representative of my father. Just like a few weeks ago when I was canceled after the first indictment, I was scheduled to go on. And about 5 minutes before I'm on, I found out I'm no longer on because apparently I wouldn't be a great surrogate to talk about my father's indictment. Just so we understand what we're dealing with here. So it shouldn't surprise any of us. And it's also why Trump was 100% right to not go to this debate.
Exactly.
It's beneath him, and when you know that you're walking into a setup because of exactly these kinds of circumstances, you understand exactly what's going on in mainstream media, even conservative.
It's very
I like to
un-American.
knock the one
It's
side,
against
but I got to
the
call
First
balls and strikes. This is no different than what we see from the Democrats. It's no different than what we're seeing from the Fulton County DA when they're trying to put a gag order on Donald Trump so he can't defend himself in court proceedings. And more importantly, to function as an intimidation tactic for anyone else who would defend him, where the DA there is then saying, hey, we're going to add you people to the indictment if you take part in this. I don't know, guys, doesn't reek of democracy. All the people that have been screaming that for the last 6 or so years, especially during the Trump presidency, when I believe we had a lot more freedom than we do now, or certainly since this administration's taken over, are strangely quiet. But I guess we shouldn't.
Unbelievable. Meanwhile, the debate topics range from America's perceived decline to individual policies each candidate hoped to champion. Still, Trump's influence was the undeniable undercurrent, transforming the evening into a referendum on his continued relevance and sway within the GOP. The defining moment arrived when host Bret Baier dropped the million-dollar question. Would the candidates still rally behind Trump if he were convicted? Watch.
You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
DeSantis a little late to the game there. A sea of raised hands was a stark visual confirmation of Trump's unwavering hold on the party, transcending legal outcomes and moral judgments. Amidst the tension and palpable division, Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis hesitated and then looked to Vivek Ramaswamy, and of course immediate criticism and speculation was drawn. Donald Trump Jr. was quick to pounce, suggesting DeSantis' delay was due to his awaiting guidance from influential donors. And speaking of guidance, just as Trump has his strategies, we all need a strategy to combat the natural muscle loss that occurs as we age. A presence that doesn't show up can still have a profound impact, much like the effects of aging on our bodies. To counteract this, there's a product enriched with ingredients like MyHMB, creatine, betaine, and vitamin D3. It's designed not only to fight muscle decline, but also to boost endurance and overall performance. So while the GOP figures out their stance, make sure to visit gainwithgary.com and get an impressive 41% off plus some extra goodies. Now, the divide within the party was evident, especially on sending more aid to Ukraine. Watch.
Is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding to Ukraine?
We would not support it. Europe needs to step up. I mean, I would have Europe step up and do their job.
Mr. Ramaswamy, but you're saying you would not too, Governor DeSantis?
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing that.
Would not support
and I think we need to do. And I think our support should be contingent on them doing it. And I would have support in China to be able to take China and do what we need to do with China.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you would not support an increase of funding to Ukraine?
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous, that we are protecting against an invasion across somebody else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States of America. We are driving Russia further into China's hands. The Russia-China alliance is the single greatest threat we face. And I find it offensive that we have professional politicians on the stage that will make a pilgrimage to Kyiv, to their Pope, Zelensky, without doing the same thing for people in Maui or the south side of Chicago or Kensington.
Wow. DeSantis, he's like, yeah. He's like, we can let Europe handle it. Ever the neocon. Pivoting to Donald Trump's indictments, former Vice President Mike Pence showed support for Trump. Watch.
Now, look, I've made it clear. I had hoped that the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the controversies around January 6th had not come to this, had not come to criminal proceedings. I would rather they had been resolved by the American people and the American people alone. But no one's above the law, and President Trump is entitled to the presumption of innocence that every American is entitled to, and we will make sure and extend that to him.
While Chris Christie was vocally critical, emphasizing the need to stop normalizing Trump's questionable behavior. Watch.
Look, here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay? Now whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States. And
what conduct?
You know, this is the great thing about this country. Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the truth.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
The candidates tried to highlight their visions and policies, but Trump's presence was omnipresent. Nikki Haley emphasized the role of women in leadership. Watch.
Hold on. Hey, Governor Haley, would you like to respond? Are you bought and paid for?
What I would like to say is the fact that I think this is exactly why Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
And then DeSantis urged the party to focus on the future.
But Governor DeSantis, do you believe that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th?
So here's what we need to do. We need to end the weaponization of these federal agents.
Right, but
I will do that.
That's not the question.
I know, but here's the thing.
answer the
This
question?
election is not about January 6th of 2021. It's about January 20th of 2025, when the next president is going to take office. I know what the Democrats would like to do. They want to talk about all these other issues, but we've got to focus on your future. We've got to focus on reversing the decline of our country.
Right.
I learned in the military, I was assigned with U.S. Navy SEALs in Iraq, that you focus on the mission above all else. You can't get distracted. So Republicans, we've got to look forward, and we've got to make sure that we're bringing the message that can win in November 2021.
Vice President Pence, what do you think, Vice President?
Is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think the American people deserve to know whether everyone on this stage agrees that I kept my oath to the Constitution that day. There's no more important duty. So answer the question.
I've answered this before.
So yes.
Why are we? Mike did his duty. I got no beef with him. But here's the thing: is this what we're going to be focusing on?
I'm relieved.
Going forward. The rehashing of this. I'll tell you,
Governor
the
DeSantis,
Democrats would love that, and they will win if we let them get away with it. I'm not letting Biden hang out in the basement this time. We're going to run him ragged around this country, and we're going to hold him accountable.
Let me do.
Yeah, conversations always circled back to Trump. Underscoring his unmatched influence, Ramaswamy praised Trump, referring to him as the best president of the 21st century. Watch.
President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact. And Chris Christie, honest to God, your claim that Donald Trump is motivated by vengeance and grievance would be a lot more credible if your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man. And if people at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this country.
30 seconds, Governor DeSantis.
Let me tell you something.
I'm sorry. 30 seconds, Governor Christie.
You make me laugh because you sit here in an answer. You sit here in an answer You sit here in an answer.
You know, I did discount Ramaswamy early on, but he is really holding his own against all those politicians, and I love it. I love watching him go after them. So he is a breath of fresh air on that stage, because everyone else is just, it's the same old political talking points, neocon talking points. Now, in contrast, Hutchinson was unequivocal in his criticism, citing the events of January 6th as a moral disqualification for Trump's presidency. Watch.
I did not raise my hand because there's an important issue we as a party have to face. And over a year ago, I said that Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on January 6th. More people are understanding the importance of that, including conservative legal scholars who says he may be disqualified under the 14th Amendment.
However, the overarching message was clear. Trump's grip on the GOP remains unyielding. His decision to skip the debate while ensuring candidates pledged their support for the 2024 nominee highlighted his strategic dominance. In a night meant to be about the GOP's future, the narrative was dominated by the past and the indomitable presence of Donald J. Trump. The Milwaukee debate may have ended, but the conversations, discussions, and the undeniable Trump-centric focus will remain a talking point in American politics for days and weeks to come. So, ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing we've learned from this debate, it's that Donald J. Trump is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. By choosing not to grace the debate stage, Trump has once again shown that he knows how to control a narrative better than anyone. He's dialed into the pulse of the nation, understanding that in today's fast-paced digital age, traditional platforms like those offered by Fox News aren't always where the real battles are fought. And while Fox News was busy orchestrating a debate, hoping to capture the nation's attention, Trump effortlessly stole the show from the comfort of his own space. This is more than just political strategy. It's a masterclass in understanding the modern media landscape. It's clear. The future of communication is changing, and those who don't adapt, even giants like Fox News, risk fading into the background. As we've seen, Trump is already several steps ahead.
Country sensation Oliver Anthony, famed for his anthem Rich Men North of Richmond, has taken a bold stand against the music establishment. Rejecting a whopping $8 million record deal to stay independent, Anthony now pockets a cool $40,000 every single day by releasing music on his own terms. Within just 1 week, his songs sold a staggering 147,000 times on iTunes. The tune championing Americans' hardworking spirit is being streamlined nearly 2 million times daily on Spotify. While industry bigwigs are left scratching their heads, Anthony stays true to his roots. Shunning the glitz and glamour of stadium shows, he's proving artists can achieve success while retaining their integrity and independence. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Coming up next, a disturbing new trend in the political sphere, what some are calling political assassination through the release of booking photos. As controversial figures like Rudy Giuliani face indictments, the public spectacle may be more than just legal procedure. Fill us in on the details, Gary.
What we're about to unravel tonight is more than just a headline. It's a chilling testament to political theater at its most cunning. Fulton County, in a move dripping with calculated intent, has decided to release the mugshots of Rudy Giuliani and several dedicated patriots. Why? Well, it seems clear: to tarnish the reputations of those individuals who've simply exercised their constitutional right to question the electoral process. We see a pattern, a ploy, just as the drums of the 2024 election season begin to beat louder. President Trump, the man who led our nation, is next on their list. Now, you must ask yourself, why now? The timing, the intent, it all paints a clear picture. And we're about to lay it out for you in this riveting report. And by its end, we will dive deep into the true implications of this act, and surely you don't want to miss our profound final thought. The great state of Georgia, especially its Fulton County, finds itself in the limelight once again. But this time, it's not for their peaches. Instead, they're flexing their judicial might by releasing mugshots of individuals close to President Trump. Their name: Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Sidney Powell, and others. This move follows District Attorney Fani Willis' case against the former president. Bail bondsman Scott Hall took the lead, being the first among the 19 defendants to turn himself in, and trailing right behind him, Trump attorney John Eastman. Their photos alongside these of Kenneth Chesebro, Ray Smith, David Schaefer, and Kathy Latham now flood our screens and social feeds. It's essential to understand the real game here. It's not just about accountability, it's about undermining the reputation of these fine Americans for their stance in the 2020 election. And yes, Mark Meadows too. And soon we'll see Donald Trump's. We're talking about the 2020 election that remains controversial to this day. The indictment, a lengthy 98 pages with 41 counts, doesn't primarily concern actions taken in Georgia. Instead, it focuses on the words spoken by the Trump campaign across multiple states, aiming to scrutinize the contentious 2020 presidential results. Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch called the indictment against Trump. He said the indictment against Trump is an attack on the First Amendment, the 12th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the 6th Amendment. Watch.
This is an attack on the First Amendment, the 12th Amendment, right? That's the amendment that guides how our elections are supposed to be run. The 14th Amendment, the 6th Amendment. They're trying to outlaw legal advice. If you get legal advice they don't like, they want to put the lawyers in jail. And what they're effectively trying to do is freeze the presidential campaign of President Trump and the entire Republican Party, because effectively, when you read this indictment, when you look at what the Justice Department, the Biden regime is arguing, they're saying any communication effectively that President Trump might have with anyone about any of these issues could be subject to scrutiny by a criminal court. and he may have to answer for in court, and anyone talking to him may have to answer.
The world's unpredictable. From nature to politics, we can't anticipate what's around the corner, so it's essential to stay prepared. So here's a tip from us. My Patriot Supply is currently offering a rare 25% discount on a 3-month emergency food kit. Safeguard your family, 1 kit per individual. The time is now to seize this limited offer. Visit preparewithgary.com and avail your 25% discount. Protect yourself from unforeseen twists, much like the ones we are discussing tonight. Now, this indictment handed down by a Fulton County grand jury last week charges several individuals not for actions, but for statements simply voicing opinions on the 2020 election results. Believe it or not, some are indicted for promoting public hearings in states like Pennsylvania as part of an illegal conspiracy. If that's a crime, what's left of free speech? The conspiracy stretches to include tweets from then-President Trump urging people to observe these public hearings, where voting irregularities were openly discussed by Trump's legal representatives. In a broad move, Trump announced on Truth Social, "Can you believe it? I'll be going to Atlanta, Georgia on Thursday to be arrested." Reflecting on this, if tweets and public hearings become a basis for arrest, what message are we sending out? Isn't discourse, discussion, and debate the core of our republic? The charges and bail amounts range extensively. Forbes detailed how bond agreements with these defendants vary between $10,000 and a hefty $200,000. As for Trump, his bond stands at $200,000, finalized this Monday. Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labatt has vocalized his intentions clearly, ensuring Trump will have his mugshot, marking this as the first among Trump's ongoing legal battles. Watch.
We are following our normal practices, and so it doesn't matter your status. We have mugshots ready for you.
He said that with a grin, too. But let's break it down. What are we really witnessing here? At the heart, it's all an attempt to tarnish reputations ahead of 2024, leveraging legal tools to undermine individuals who dare challenge a process. Instead of addressing the concern, there is a strategy to delegitimize, demonize, and diminish their voices. Florida Representative Byron Donalds added that if the DOJ can attack the former president like this, just imagine what they will do to everyday citizens. Watch.
Well, look, the indictments are nothing but election interference from the radical left. This has been their mission all along. But I want to speak directly to the American people, whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. We cannot have the Democrats turn our institutions into political weapons. If they'll do it to the former president, they'll do it to any other American. And our country is based on freedom and liberty and free thought and free speech. And just because you don't like how he took the last election, that is no reason to file criminal charges. That is a disgusting use of power from the executive branch of our federal government, and we have to have real changes.
As Breitbart noted, aptly reported, the indictment is less about concrete actions and more about casting doubt on the actions and words of the Trump campaign, words that dare challenge the narrative surrounding the 2020 election. The essence of the charges? Making statements that question election outcome. Claims that holding public hearings in Pennsylvania was tantamount to furthering an unlawful conspiracy. During his interview with Tucker Carlson, Trump called all the charges against him BS. Watch.
The protest didn't work. You got elected anyway. Yeah. Impeachment didn't work twice, obviously. Indictment is not working. Your poll numbers go up. When they raided Mar-a-Lago in August of last year, your numbers went up. They can indict you 20 times, and you're not going to lose the Republican primary because of that.
Well, so, it makes it look even more ridiculous. I mean, the 4 indictments, and maybe there'll be more. I don't know. These people are crazy.
But they're counterproductive. So if you chart it out, it's an escalation, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So what's next? After, try to put you in prison for the rest of your life, that's not working. So, don't they have to kill you now?
I think the people of our country don't get enough credit for how smart they are. And I'm not sure I would have said this 10 years ago, but they get it. They really get it. When somebody gets indicted, your poll numbers go down. When somebody gets indicted, you announce, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be leaving to spend time with my family and to fight for the rest of my life on this stuff. But you're out of politics. I got indicted 4 times. All trivia, nonsense, bullshit. It's all bullshit.
In all this drama, one can't help but wonder, where does genuine justice fit in? America, as this segment draws to a close, it's imperative to step back and grasp the larger narrative unfolding before our very eyes. Our nation, a beacon of democracy and free speech, finds itself at a crossroads. The events in Fulton County aren't just about mugshots and legal proceedings. They're a glaring reflection of a deeper, more concerning trend using the power of the judicial system for political maneuvering. Today's targets are Giuliani, Ellis, Powell, and soon President Trump. But tomorrow, it could be any one of us. As we inch closer to the 2024 elections, every citizen needs to be vigilant, to question, and to stand up against any attempts to silence or smear. We are more than political pawns. Our voices, our rights, they define us. Protect them. From the land of the free, our collective voice should be and must be the loudest. Have a good night, and may God continue to bless America. Wow. Unbelievable story there. Tale of two cities now in Wisconsin. Madison's mayor is painting a rosy picture, calling the city a paradise. But just an hour away, Milwaukee's crime statistics tell a very different story. The disconnect is raising questions about public safety and governance in the Badger State. Tell us more about Madison's mayor claims, Angie.
Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway stood before cameras to sell us a fairy tale. The Democrat-run cities are a paradise. A paradise? Try a crime spree. Just look at Milwaukee, where this press event unfolded. That city alone saw nearly 30 people shot, 4 fatally, in just one recent incident. And it's not an isolated case, folks. These tragic stories are filling the headlines in Democrat-run cities, where law and order seem to be ancient history. The hard truth is people are fleeing states like California, Illinois, and New York for red states like Florida. Why? Because they're sick of politicians who care more about agendas than your family's safety and security. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. That's the news I have for tonight. Now back to Gary.
Now it's time for the comments section. We're diving deep into the passion that's fueling the Trump 2024 juggernaut. We picked the top comments from our video, Trump Super PAC Trolls 2024 Hopefuls Hard. And here's what you guys had to say. First from Philip. He says, I'm voting for President Trump and no one else. Philip, you're not alone. Many Americans feel that no other candidate brings the charisma, the vision, and the sheer ability to shake up the Washington swamp like Trump does. Loyalty isn't bought, it's earned, and Trump earned it by putting America first. Next, Martha said, the more they do to Donald Trump, the more I want to vote for him. Martha, precisely. Every attempt to undermine Trump only strengthens his base. The left's relentless attacks backfire, galvanizing the American people to rally behind him. And then we have Dan. He says, never messed with a POTUS from Queens, New York. He built Manhattan and is the greatest POTUS ever. Dan, the resume speaks for itself. This is a man who tackled the New York real estate market and won. Then he tackled Washington and shook it to its core. If that doesn't spell greatness, I don't know what does. And Meredith weighs in with, Trump went through hell for us, and I'm not letting him down and voting for him. He's smart, funny, and loyal. God keep him and his family safe and keep the illegal votes out. Meredith, you're speaking from the heart. Trump endured the slings and arrows, not for personal gain, but for the American people. Your loyalty recognizes his sacrifice, and that's a bond the political elite cannot break. And finally, Commerce USA writes, nobody can troll his opponents better than President Trump. Looking forward to seeing him back. Stay peaceful, get involved, and vote 2024. Spot on. Trump's ability to get under his opponent's skin is unparalleled. It rattles them, exposes their true characters, and that is something to behold. And now it's time for our next segment, Looking at You, where we shine a spotlight on someone who needs some more attention. Let's take a look. It's time for the Looking at You segment, where we analyze what's making headlines and why it matters. Tonight, a dash of humor meets politics, as biotech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy recently quipped that he wishes neocon Nikki Haley well on her future at Lockheed and Raytheon. That's right, Ramaswamy couldn't resist making a tongue-in-cheek comment about Haley's perceived hawkish foreign policy stance, linking it with major defense contractors known for profiting from military interventions. Watch.
I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
You know, I'm not on
but
the
the fact
boards
of the
of
matter,
Lockheed and Raytheon, and you know,
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week,
You want
Nikki.
to go and defund it.
Now, whether you find his joke funny or not, it opens up a larger conversation about the so-called military-industrial complex and the politicians who are accused of having cozy relationships with it. It's a subject that has long polarized American politics and often fuels skepticism about our international engagements. So what does this satirical take reveal? It casts a spotlight on the ideological rifts that not only divide different parties, but also create internal tensions within them. While the comment was made in jest, the underlying question it raises is anything but a laughing matter. Who really benefits from American foreign policy? And are those benefits distributed in a way that serves the nation or just a select few? So tonight we're looking at you, Vivek Ramaswamy, or for trying to keep these politicians honest. What you've witnessed tonight should serve as a wake-up call to every American who values the sanctity of governance, the stability of the economy, and the importance of free speech. We kicked off discussing the brewing impeachment inquiry against President Joe Biden, rooted in Hunter Biden's business dealings. This isn't about partisan bickering. It's about accountability at the highest levels of power. When leaders face no scrutiny, the entire fabric of our American republic is at risk. Next, we heard from Larry Kudlow, who compared today's economy to Reagan's era of prosperity. If you needed a more lucid analysis of where we've gone wrong economically, rising inflation, unchecked governmental spending, Kudlow laid it bare. Remember, when your money is worth less, your freedom to make choices diminishes. It's a direct assault on your personal liberty. We then delved into a revealing conversation with former President Donald Trump. Love him or hate him, the dialogue offered a rare peek into the mind of a man who has shaped American politics for better or worse. He spoke on the issues that still divide this nation, and whether we agree or not, we must engage with these topics openly. On the GOP front, Trump again illustrated his command over the Republican Party, even without physically being on the debate stage. This isn't just about Trump. It's about the fissures in a party struggling with its own identity and future. And finally, Fulton County's indictment of Rudy Giuliani and others opens up another Pandora's box about free speech and its limitations. This is not merely a legal matter. It's a question that cuts to the core of American values. This is a crossroads moment for America. Each of these stories is like a mirror reflecting not just the news of the day, but the state of our union, the state of our freedom, and indeed the state of our future. That's all the time we have for tonight's show. A big thank you to Angie for her incisive news briefs that add depth and perspective to the stories we cover. And thank you to everyone tuning in and participating in our live chat. Your engagement is what makes this platform not just a show, but a community of informed citizens. A special acknowledgement to our sponsor, Noble Gold Investments. In a political landscape where allegiances can change as quickly as the value of a dollar bill, it's important to have something solid to rely on. So think of gold as an unwavering principle in a world of fluctuating political promises, because since the 70s, the U.S. dollar has lost 85% of its value, mainly because we've strayed from gold as an anchor. With potential inflation looming, gold remains that anchor, so invest with Noble Gold Investments. It's the company I trust, and secure a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com or call 877-646-5347. And even if you're not investing, call them and tell them thank you for supporting this program. And before we sign off, remember, you are the key to making America great again. If you enjoy the show, tell a friend, share the link, and let's grow this community of like-minded people. Engage with us on Twitter and in the comments below. I'm Gary Franchi, and I want to leave you with this thought. I'm not here to make you a follower. I'm here to make you a leader among the people. Good night, America. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay free.